Welcome back, Tipton Middle School, as we begin our broadcast for the boys basketball game between the Tigers and Beavers of Wilton. Again, this one, if you just look at the record, maybe a little bit of a mismatch, but I think we learned that lesson in the first game. You don't look at those records for a mismatch because that was a much more competitive game than the records would have ensued.
Absolutely right, and both teams really kind of riding a losing streak. Tipton has lost the last 3 games that they played. They did have 3 games that were canceled or postponed because of the weather, and you look at Wilton, who's kind of struggled this year, but they've lost their last 5 games, I believe, 4 games, I believe, and then so both teams kind of trying to find that magic to get that W up on the board, and both teams coming in maybe with a little bit of lack of confidence, but this is a perfect game to break out of it. You got both teams with a chance to win the game, and that's the coaches are telling their players, go out and play hard and good things are going to happen. This is a game we can win. Let's go out and see if we can do it.
The Tipton girls record coming into this game that just ended a loss to Wilton. They came in 7-7, so now they're 7-8. The boys, they also come into this game 7-7, hoping to turn this into an 8-7 season, whereas Wilton struggling a little bit more in the River Valley Conference, just 3-14 on the year. Like you mentioned, John, 4 straight losses. They had Regina, Bellevue, Cascade, who's the defending title, and then to Durant by 21 points. So not a great end middle to the year. They look things to turn around going into the playoffs, but a Tipton team is a good gauge on where they are headed into the final parts of the season.
Well, and you just can never tell what's going through a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid's mind too, because they played in Wilton just back on January 4th after the break, and Tipton beat them by 35 points, 77-42. And so, Tipton could come in thinking, hey, we've got this game easy. And if they're not on their game, this is a team, Wilton, that can be pretty dangerous. And even though they've struggled this year, they can put some points up on the board, and they can make a game out of this. So Tipton's they've got to play well. They got to play hard tonight.
Just 2 minutes left on the clock before this game starts. We do have some star power in this game as well. For Tipton, it's Andrew Stewart, and for Wilton, Ashton Stelk, averaging 11.8 games for him. But then he's got Jared Townsend down low. Ashton Stelk's kind of the big stat filler, and Townsend's the scorer, 17.1 points per game. And back in Tilton, Andrew Stewart, 15.7 points per game. What do you think we're going to see here tonight?
Well, I tell you what, Stewart is not only a scoring machine, he's also a rebounding machine. He's averaging a double-double this year. In addition to the 15.7 points a game, he's averaging about 12 rebounds a game, 55 rebounds in the year on the offensive end, and 109 on the defensive end. So he's just really been a load down there. You got Jared Townsend on the other end, rebounding 8.2 rebounds a game. So I think we're going to see both of those kids really come out playing hard. Wilton, about 20 turnovers a game. It's going to be really key for them to take care of the basketball. They can't get into a turnover game.
1 minute to go here on the clock, and we'll take a short break. When we come back, national anthem, starting lineups, and then more basketball. You're watching KCRG 9.2, brought to you by Community First Credit Union. Nice rendition of the national anthem from the Tipton High School Pep Band as we are ready to get underway of the boys game between Wilton and Tipton here from Tipton Middle School. Again, both teams, their records show not very successful season so far. Tipton slightly better than Wilton. But if it's anything like we saw from the girls' games, it's going to be an entertaining game to watch.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be a good game. Good athletes on both sides of the court here, so I think both teams are going to come out playing hard. I did make a mistake earlier. It's not Stewart that's averaging almost 12 rebounds a game. I got to give a shout-out to Frank Bierman, the big guy under the middle for Tipton, who's averaging almost 12 rebounds a game at 55 on the offensive end, 109 on the defensive end.
Now, I didn't ask. I'm going to assume that, let's see here, Frank, the junior, might be a twin to Rachel, maybe a cousin. Rachel Bierman, a name we said many times in the girls' game. I would think a possible family relation.
There's got to be a
maybe
family.
Safe to say. Yeah.
I think you're right.
As we're going over starting lineups being introduced. Very nice crowd here at Tipton Middle School. Very nice crowd.
What
got
a
to
nice
see
facility.
the end of that girls' game. Beautiful facility here at the middle school.
Nice.
You can see just on the top of your screen the backdrop of the big tiger in the middle of the wall.
That's very artistic. I can't even draw stick people well, so anybody that can do that, they've got my admiration.
Head coaches of today's teams: Tipton, it's Matt Fouch, and for Wilton, Eric Grunder. Tipton averaging 62.8 points a game. Wilton just 45.2 a game. The Beavers allow 56.5 per game. As we're taking a look at the Wilton Beavers starters, we have Garrett Bonsack, Ronan Santiago, Brock Hartley, Jared Townsend, Ashton Stelk. The bottom two are the guys you want to watch out for. They're number 42, number 44. Together, they average about 29 points per game. As we take a look for the starters of the home team, Tipton Tigers: Trent Pelzer, Frank Bierman, Andrew Stewart, Luke Becker, and Jacob Tisha. And it'll be Bierman and Stelk, who might have had a change of jersey wearing 45. That was Stelk, as Wilton won the tip. There's Townsend down low. Double dribble call, Tipton ball.
But Tipton coming out really playing a pressure zone defense, kind of trap after half court, so see if that pressure causes some turnovers from Wilton.
Tipton's first possession. Here's Becker in the corner to Andrew Stewart. Down low, nice pass, but a great block. Offensive putback, no good. Third try for Bierman off the glass is good. He didn't quit.
Boy, what a great high-low pass again from the high post there. And a great job by Bierman just to stay after it.
And that ball is turned over from Wilton's Garrett Bonsack.
Talked about that at the top, 20 turnovers a game for Wilton, and they can't do that against this really good Tipton pressure defense. They got to take care of the ball a little bit better.
Trent Pelzer with it now, cross court in the corner, finding Andrew Stewart. Stewart again with it, this time electing to shoot from downtown off the back iron, no good. Wilton, the rebound, we've brought up by Jared Townsend, the team's leading scorer. Townsend driving on the left, finds an open man in the corner, doesn't elect to shoot it. Instead it's Brock Hartley, the shot no good. Rebound Frank Bierman. Tipton moving the other way, nice drive. A foul call on the floor. Andrew Stewart was the one who drew it.
Well, you can see when Stewart gets the ball, he likes to attack, whether it's off the dribble or from a pass, but he really likes to get to the basket. Shooting about 45% from the field, 36% from three-point line.
The inbound pass, Jacob Tisha couldn't find anywhere to go. Tried inbounding it, looked like it deflected off a foot of one of the Wilton defenders. And Tishik will try it again. Finds Stewart in the corner. Stewart averaging 15.7 points per game. Luke Becker now with it, top of the key. Throws it to the side, Tishik. Tishik lost his dribble. Dangerous pass, but Stewart gathers. Stewart back to Tishik. A lot of perimeter passing here for the Tigers, up by 2. Now they find Stewart down low off the glass, no good. How about the rebound from Bierman and the putback He's got an early 4 points, and I don't even know how many rebounds. I want to say it's 3 or 4 all on the offensive side.
I think he's got 3 offensive rebounds for sure. But, boy, he's just a beast on those boards and really goes after it hard.
There's a traveling call on Wilton's Ronan Santiago. Forgot to take that first dribble as he elected to drive in. It'll be Tipton ball, already up 4-0.
And we talked earlier about Bierman's rebounding skill, and he's averaging just about 12 a game, and he's got 3 offensive rebounds here already just in the first 2 minutes of this game.
164 rebounds coming in. That number has since increased. Tishik, primary ball handler, finds Stewart. Stewart on the wing, loses his dribble. Again, throwing it around. Stewart with the alley-oop. How about the pass from Tishik?
What a great set play and just a great execution. Stewart can get up. He's only, how tall is he? He's only like 5.
Stewart's listed at 6'1".
Is he? He's not 6'1".
I think they put those implants on the bottom of their shoes.
I think you're right.
But he can rise up, that's for sure.
Boy, did he get up.
Stewart's first points of the ball game as Wilton coach Eric Grunder elects to take a timeout. And we'll check out the replay of the alley-oop. Great pass by Tishik. He knew it was coming. Almost a dunk. I think he could probably dunk it if he wanted to.
Yeah, he was high enough.
I think there was just a lot of traffic there, but what a play call that ends in Andrew Stewart's first points of the game. You knew that was drawn up. Andrew Stewart had the pass, threw it around the perimeter, and then just
back cut,
blind to the defense.
Well, and that's something that you can't just pull out in the game. That's something that these kids practice probably a lot, during their offensive sets. And boy, both kids just really executed that very, very well.
Stewart just all around a good offensive player, 15.7 points per game like we've mentioned. He's shooting 45% from the field and 36% from 3. Those are above average stats in either category, and you've seen what he's able to do with the ball in his hands or without it.
And he is by far the person on this offense that looks for a shot. He's taken 103 three-pointers, made 37 of them, and that's a spectacular percentage, almost 36%.
So Tipton with it again. Tishik, the inbounder, finds Bierman, and we've swung it around the perimeter once again. Here's Luke Becker, a 3. That's no good. Rebounded, brought down by Garrett Bonsack of the Beavers, who are looking for their first points 3 minutes into the first quarter. Brock Hartley driving down on the baseline. Great swat by Frank Bierman. The second effort. Brock Hartley gets the foul call, but what a block from behind from Bierman. Can already sense sometimes you get it early, sometimes you get it late, but this is very early. You can sense that Frank Bierman's a force to be reckoned with down low on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, so far Wilton hasn't shown a whole lot of resistance against him on the boards or defensively, and he did a great job that time of playing help side defense, coming over when the guy got beat, and just did a great job of being in the middle. That's going to make the Wilton players think next time they go to penetrate that middle.
Brock Hartley missed his first free throw attempt, nails home the second. First points registered for the Beavers as they're down by 5, 6-1. Here's Stewart on the wing. Stewart driving in, takes the baseline jumper off the back iron. It's another iron, no good. And
Bierman again.
Almost an and one for Bierman. 2 offensive rebounds. One from Bierman. It looked like first it was Luke Becker. They're just dominating down low.
Yeah, they've got 5 offensive rebounds, and that's, we talked a little bit pregame about the turnovers. Wilton's got 4 turnovers already, and they've given up 5 offensive rebounds. That's not the recipe for winning too many games, so they got to shore those up.
Bierman with 5. If he can make it 6, which he almost did, that would have been half of his points per game average on the year. 7-1 lead for the hometown team. Nice ball movement here from the Beavers to find Bonsack from behind the arc. Bonsack, step back 3 attempt, got it. Some isolation there from Garrett Bonsack. He wasn't afraid to let loose.
A nice looking shot too. Had good rotation on the ball and made a nice shot.
Here's Stewart back with it. Over to Tishik. Tishik crosses over, switches direction, finds Stewart to Bierman. Bierman down low. Found himself a little too far down low as he hits the bottom of the backboard. Back the other way quickly, Jared Townsend. And here's Bonsack, wide open, no good. Offensive rebound though, it looks like a foul call, push down low. Will be called on, let's see, I believe number 15, that's Ronan Santiago. And he'll get checked out of the game.
Just looking at the stats from the last game these two played, and Andrew Stewart had 33 points, so I think he enjoys playing against this team a little bit.
He only has 2 so far, but something tells me we might see some more entertaining plays from Andrew Stewart. Helzer to Tishuk. Tishuk, a mid-range jumper. The lost start of basketball, he missed it, but again, an offensive rebound from Bierman. But that one won't count statistically as he'll get called with the push.
He just goes after those boards so hard, too, on the offensive end. As soon as that shot goes up, he's right at the basket.
Again, already a press applied by Tipton, and it's a success on that possession as they catch Bonsack in the over and back.
4.5 minutes into the game, Tipton has caused 5 turnovers for Wilton, and that's Wilton's only taken 3 shots, and a lot of that's because they just haven't got to look at the basket much.
Stewart in the corner, ball handling. Tishuk. Here's Becker from the front corner. (10-4) lead now for Tipton, and again the press being applied. But Becker is going to get called for attempting to kick the ball. Peyton Elijah will check in for Andrew Stewart, who will take a breather as his team's up by 6. Brock Hartley down low, looking to find Jackson a hole under the basket, but that deflected out of bounds by Bierman. And it'll be Jared Townsend, the inbounder, the leading scorer. Held off the score sheet so far. Bonsack with it, daring to shoot it again. Down low, here's Townsend. Up over 2 defenders. Too much contact near the arms. Townsend will go to the line.
A nice job of going at the basket again, being aggressive when you have the basketball. Getting a foul on Bierman, and that's his 2nd foul, so he might have to sit just 2:48 left in this first quarter. He's got 2 fouls already.
Townsend sinks the first free throw as we see Bierman come out. We've seen what Bierman can do on either side of the floor when it comes down low, and if you're going to have a game plan, it seems like that's a good one for Wilton, is to get him in foul trouble, get him off the court.
And that's what they've done, and he's going to have to sit maybe for the rest of this half.
Townsend hits the 2nd, deficit for Wilton down to 4 as it's Kleppe, the pass, and that ball is stolen. Coming back the other way, Jackson Hull up in traffic, gets it to go.
And all of a sudden just a 2-point game.
Big momentum swing in the middle parts here of the first quarter. It was all Tipton early, and Wilton has since come back. Here's Becker on the drive. Tishuk from downtown, no good. How about the offensive rebound by 5'11" Colby Kleppe? But that ball stolen. Bonsack. Tishuk wasn't ready for it. Bonsack the lay-in off the glass, and we've got a tie game. Matt Fouch forced to take a timeout for Tipton. Bonsack has 5 of Wilton's first 10 points, and head coach Matt Fouch cannot be happy with the way this quarter has shifted here from the first half of the quarter to now.
Yeah, what a turnaround. I mean, it looked like Tipton early on was getting ready to maybe blow this thing open, and Wilton stuck with it and got Bierman in a little bit of foul trouble, and now they've started to cause a couple turnovers of their own that both have led to fast break layups, and boy, they're right back in it at 10-10. 3 out of 5 shooting for Wilton so far, and 4 out of 14 from Tipton. So Wilton not getting as many shots, but taking advantage of the ones that they've been given.
Did see Andrew Stewart get off the bench, take his sweats off, and he'll be checked into the game once we resume. He's only got 2 on the night, but I can imagine we're going to see more than that. But again, there's number 4, Frank Bierman, still on the bench. That's a big loss early for the Tipton Tiger offense and defense, having a force like that down low, not able to play due to foul trouble. So I would think that they would look to Stewart here to start taking over.
And this is really, where the seniors need to step up. You're in a game, and Wilton's shown that they're not going to go away, so you really need your seniors to step up now, show some leadership.
Stewart with it in the corner. Crosses over, has nowhere to go. Instead dishes to Trent Pelzer. Back to Stewart in the corner. Stewart, the baseline drive. Can't get the hometown rim to cooperate there.
Boy, nice move, though. Really nice move on the baseline.
Bonsack with it. To the left, a 3 try is good. There's Isaac Hunter. And Wilton has their first lead.
And he's just 17% from the three-point line, but that one looked good the whole way.
3-point lead for Wilton as they're looking to build on it. Just 1:20 left in the first quarter, and it does not look like Tipton has an answer for Wilton on offense. Good defense there from Pelsner knocking it out of bounds, but the Beavers will keep possession.
And this is where Wilton struggles, with their turnovers is against the press, so Tipton coming out and trying to get that press going.
Townsend, hard drive in traffic, no good. Quickly the other way is Pelzer, finding Stewart. And Pelzer's wide open in the corner. Off the iron, no good once more. Wilton again, pushing the pace. Here's Bonsack trying to find a man down low. He has it. There's Ashton Stelk. There's Stelk's first points of the game.
Great hands that time in traffic, caught the ball and went up strong with it.
Stewart dishes out to Connor Hermiston. Now it's Pelzer. Stewart from 3 on the wing. Stewart connects.
Well, that's where the Wilton coaches have got to be saying, we can't let him open from 3. He's too good of a three-point shooter, and he was wide open that time.
And it didn't seem like one before off the alley-oop. It didn't seem like that was so much of a designed play as maybe just a lapse defensively.
Absolutely. The point guard for Tipton penetrated the middle, brought the defenders, collapsed on him, and found Stewart wide open.
Pelsner attempting to drive in. He's going to get a block. Looks like it's called on Isaac Hunter. Hunter had just hit the 3. He only averages 1.3 points per game. Stewart, too long on the 3 attempts. 15 seconds left. First quarter. Wilton, a 2-point lead. Defensive pressure as Bonsack gets it now. He'll take the last shot. Bonsack driving in, finds Stelk down low. Stelk bodying down. What a post move. Ashton Stelk.
Boy, what a nice left hand.
The Stars taking over for Wilton as they cut their first quarter deficit, and they turn it into a 4-point lead. They're up 17-13 at the end of 1. We'll resume the second quarter coming up right here on KCRG 9.2. Welcome back. You're watching KCRG 9.2's live broadcast of high school basketball. What an entertaining first game we had in the first half of this broadcast in the girls' game. We saw the Wilton Beavers outlast the Tipton Tigers, and now the Wilton Beavers boys team is doing the same. Up by 4 after 1. We've resumed action here in the second quarter.
Wilton on the year shooting 36.5% from the field. First quarter, 6 out of 9. So they've been shooting lights out. This is an away game for them as well, and they're really shooting the ball well. Bierman's back in now, which is a little surprising, but they're trying to stem the tide a little bit.
Here's Stewart driving in a nice floater, nothing but net. Stewart connects. He's got 7.
And when Bierman's in the game, that's going to be a lot easier for him because they've got to pay attention to Bierman as well.
Bonsack dribbles it off his own foot. They've got to get it across the timeline, and they do. Brock Harley. Here's Stelk now driving. Stelk out to Bonsack. Bonsack playing around the perimeter. He finds it open. Santiago no good off the front iron. Rebound to Tipton, who comes back the other way. Here's Pelzer. Rather, that was Tishuk missing the lay-in attempt. Bonsack coming back. Santiago, similar to Bierman, in foul trouble in the first quarter, now being brought back into the lineup in the second quarter. Here's a 3 attempt from Townsend. That's no good. Bierman the rebound. 2-point lead for Wilton as Tipton has another opportunity here to tie it or take the lead. Stewart in traffic. Almost gets it to go. No good. Bonsack quickly the other way. Waiting for his teammates to join him on the right side of your screen. In the corner, Ronan Santiago. 37% shooter from downtown. Stelks all alone down low, off the glass.
And a great pass that time by Hartley from the top of the key. Found him wide open under there.
Cross-court pass, Trent Pelzer. Driving in, what a lay-in from Trent Pelzer off the glass. First 2 points of the night, and he'll get a chance for 3.
Boy, what a nice job. He kind of switched his body in midair, caused the contact, and still was strong enough to get that ball in the basket.
19-17 game as Pelzer can bring it to 1. Good time to remind you to catch on Iowa Live next Monday. You can catch the show live right here on KCRG 9.2. Come down to Union Station. Always a blast to watch it in person. We'll have a lot to talk about. Iowa basketball is the main subject. Right now, they're leading number 5 Michigan at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Great job by Wilton that time. Once they broke the press to attack the basket, that's such an important thing. Don't just be satisfied with breaking the press. Go attack the basket when you break it.
How about the 3 from Stewart? Showing no fear as he's got 10 points in the first half alone to tie this game up. 21-21 apiece. We're getting good action just like we did the game before. Don't go away. More good action coming up on KCRG 9.2 thanks to Community First Credit Union. Ready to resume action here. Ashton Stelk will be the inbounder. And he'll give it to Jared Townsend, senior to senior connection there. We've seen this is a game of runs so far. Tipton was first. Wilton answered. Stelk too hard off the glass. And then Tipton has since responded to Wilton's run. And we're tied, 21-21. Stewart, the leading scorer, he's got 10 for Tipton. That ball stolen again. Almost 6 steals per game for Wilton. Brock Hartley with it. Down low, that's kicked by Bierman. Out of bounds, it'll stay down here with the Beavers. Against Stelk, the inbounder. Stelk will find Santiago. Scoreless so far is Santiago. Mid-range jumper here. Chase Miller, no good. How about Townsend, the rebound? Pump fake, beautiful off the window.
Well, you can see Bierman kind of hold up a little bit on that. He didn't want to pick up that 3rd foul, but a great job on the offensive end.
That's just part of the repercussions of being in foul trouble. Stewart for 3, no good. We've seen Stewart get a little more space offensively just by the presence of Bierman, but on the same end, Wilton be able to attack a little more aggressive down low. Almost a foul there on Bierman as he swatted, but it's Townsend getting his 8th point.
Well, great job of recognition by Townsend down low, knowing Bierman's not going to go after him, to just be really aggressive.
Another steal up ahead. The lay-in off the glass, no good. Offensive rebound, Santiago, his shot no good as well. Back-to-back misses for Miller Santiago. And then it's Stewart giving the ball away right again. Being a little careless with the ball are the Tipton Tigers, as now Wilton elects to take a timeout to talk things over as they will go on offense in this upcoming possession. it was such a good start offensively for Tipton, and now they seem just a little lost.
Yeah, they really do. They're kind of arguing amongst themselves about where people should be, and as a coach, you don't like to see that. You want your team, staying together and encouraging people instead of getting after them a little bit. So I think the coach is talking to them about that right now. Hey guys, we're in for a game. We got to start playing together and playing hard, and good things will happen.
Jared Townsend leading the way for Wilton, 8 points. Stelks right behind him with 6. Bonsak's right behind him with 5. And the offensive production isn't quite there for Tipton when you're speaking as a team. Bierman's got 5, and then you got Stewart all the way with 10. After that, not a whole lot of action outside of Trent Pelzer and Luke Becker. Wilton crossing the timeline. Bonsack with it. There's Stelk bodying down low. Great defense there. Looked like it might have been deflected by Bierman, who's running quickly the other way. Bierman dishes out to Colby Kleppe, who gets called for the travel. Another turnover for Tipton.
Just got a little bit ahead of himself, just a little bit quick on that move. Picked up that pivot foot before he dribbled.
Bonsack comes in only averaging 2.5 points per game. He's doubled that already here just in the first half. And it's Bonsack open on the perimeter. The step back doesn't shoot it. Instead finds an open teammate. Good ball movement here. Stelk will get called for the travel. Just one too many spin moves there from the senior.
Yeah, he had that ball down low with Bierman on him, and knowing that Bierman isn't going to be real aggressive on the defensive end with those 2 fouls, but just tried to, like you said, one too many spin moves and drug that pivot foot.
Looked like he had an open teammate, Jackson Hull, there on the wing. He elected not to go to. Instead, turned around and got called for it. This is Tishuk. Tishuk can't get on the board tonight. Going to try again over a defender. Gets his offensive rebound. He's working hard for it. There's Jacob Tishuk's first 2 points.
They're just relentless on the offensive glass, whether it's Tishuk or Bierman. They really get after it.
There's an open man in the corner. No good, but Stelk, the hard rebound. It was the miss from Chase Miller. Stelk working hard down low. Peyton Elijah driving in, loses his handle. Out to Tishuk. Here's Colby Kleppe. Kleppe loses his handle well. Another turnover. This looks like it'll go for a jump ball. Possession Wilton.
I really like to see those guards when somebody takes the ball in the middle, get down there and try to swat that ball away. That just isn't something you see teams do a lot anymore, whether it's on the high school or college level. I just love seeing that when they get in there, dig that ball out.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of kick out for Tipton's offense. There's a lot of driving, but not a lot of people staying on the perimeter to kick out. And we've seen it. They have the shooters to do that. Doesn't seem like they're able to do that successfully today as ball comes down low to Townsend. Townsend loses it, body on the floor. Bierman coming back the other way. Bierman charging. Here's a kick out for Kleppe for 3, no good. Offensive rebound though, Tipton stays with it. Here's Peyton Elijah to Tishuk. Kleppe another chance. Finds Bierman down low, but that pass to the post was deflected. It looks like maybe a reach-in foul.
I think they're going to call it jump ball, I think, on that. Give the ball to...
So that'll alternate right to Tipton. We'll keep it down here.
Yeah, and that was another great job by Hunter that time. Again, going down and getting that ball when Bierman had it down low.
Stewart to Pelzer. Both those starters coming back into the game. As we'll see another on-the-floor foul.
And you made a great point before, Mike. You know, when Stewart's really somebody that can really benefit from that drive, and when the defense collapses, look for him because he's such a good three-point shooter. He's one that should really benefit from that.
And that's what Wilton is doing so well, is when they recognize the drive, like you said, they're getting all hands on them, hands on the ball, getting these jump ball, strips, steals, all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Tipton hasn't kicked it out enough to find any open shooters. As Tipton's in the bonus now, Trent Pelzer hits his first free throw. He's got 4 on the night. Deficit for Tipton down to just 3, 27-24 lead. Second free throw up and good as well. 1:54 remaining in the first half, and it looks like we're going to have another good one that'll go the distance here in a tight game. Townsend from three, he's got it. Just a 23.9% shooter from downtown, but he wasn't afraid there. He's got 11. Lead up back to 5. Down low to Bierman. Looked like Townsend got a hand on it, almost stripped it away.
Again, he was in the right position. Good, good foot movement, getting in front of him. But then as soon as you bring that hand in there, they're going to call that foul. If he plays defense with his feet, boy, he makes a nice defensive play there.
Ashton Stelk checks back in, and again with 8 fouls. Tipton is shooting 1-on-1s the rest of the way in the first half. Bierman, the back iron, no good. But how about the offensive rebound there? Blake Williams, his first 2 points. Great offensive rebound. Stelk with an out. Almost a carry. As Bonsack wasn't ready for that pass. Could have been an over and back there. Kind of a lot of chaotic play here. Ends up with Pelsner in the corner, driving in, acrobatic shot. Maybe a little ill-advised there from Pelsner. As Wilton takes over off the miss. And Eric Grunder will elect to take another timeout. That was a chaotic last 45 seconds of play. Steals all over the place. And
boy, a lot of hustle going on, though.
Yeah, hustle is another word for that, yeah.
You love to see the kids getting on the floor, getting after those loose balls, but boy, Tipton is just really having their way on the offensive glass. I've got 10 offensive rebounds now for Tipton, and even though they're down by 3, that's really keeping them in the game. As many second chance opportunities as they've had with Bierman or whoever it might be on that offensive glass, they're really pounding those boards.
That's what you would expect. Bierman standing at 6'5", at least listed at 6'5". We never know. He seems pretty tall, though.
I would say that's pretty close.
The tallest guy on the roster for Wilton's 5'10", Zach Hine, who I don't believe we've seen check into the game. So they have that advantage down low. Although I'm going to question Ashton Stelk being listed at 5'11".
Yeah, he looks a little bigger than that to me. Yeah, he's bigger than Stewart. He's bigger than Stewart.
There's Townsend, ball's tipped. Stelk keeps it from going out of bounds. 43 left to play in the first half. Santiago with it now. Great defense there from Pelzer to knock it out of bounds, and it'll stay Wilton ball. Got some breaking Division I college basketball news from just a few miles away. The Iowa Hawkeyes take down number 5 Michigan, 74-59 from Carver Hawkeye Arena. Not too far removed from their disappointing loss to Michigan State. And this is a pretty good performance there to beat a top 5 team by 15 to help improve their resume.
That is a huge win. Come tournament time, that's going to be a big talking point.
So now we welcome in all those viewers that were watching Fox Sports 1 here to KCRG 9.2. Lovely broadcast here going on of live high school basketball. Townsend down low, dishes out to his teammate. Brock Hartley, no good. Body's fighting for the rebound. It'll stay Wilton ball. They'll go for the last shot here, up by 3. Townsend, the inbounder, gets it again off the give and go. Here's Hartley, and then there's Stelk. The offensive rebound, Stelk's got 10. 2 Beavers in double digits. Pelzer was going for the last second lay-in, but there will be an on-the-floor foul. It doesn't matter because they're in the bonus. They'll be shooting free throws either way. Disappointing end of the half for Wilton there as they're going to give Tipton a free chance at 2 points.
Yeah, they kind of bailed him out a little bit too. I think he was kind of out of control going in the lane. Too many hands.
Pelzer makes the first. He's got 6 on the night, and how with 0.5 seconds left, he can have a chance to cut the deficit right back down to 3 and score his 7th point. That one too long. Stelk the rebound, and that is how the first half will end. A 4-point lead for Wilton, 32-28. This game's been back and forth the whole way. We're going to expect to see that again in the second half. We're going to take a short break. We'll go over first half highlights when we come back. Tonight's sponsor, Community First Credit Union. Don't forget, you're watching High School Hoops right here on KCRG 9.2. It's a 32-28 lead for the Wilton Beavers over the hometown Tipton Tigers as we are at halftime. 8 minutes remaining as we're taking a look at the dance team's performance here. Tipton coming into this game averaging 14 turnovers a game. They might beat that number today.
Yeah, they have 7 already, but they had just 3 in the first quarter, 4 in the second quarter, and they've been kind of sloppy. Just haven't been real crisp, but part of that I think is due to the fact they haven't played. Obviously, we talked about this with the girls, but they haven't played for 10 days. They had their 3 games postponed, canceled over the last week to 10 days, and it's just I think it's affected them. You know, they come into that break with a 3-game losing streak, and just have been real rusty and sloppy tonight.
Wilton defense, they allow just 56.5 per game. Tipton's got 28. And the talented people that work in our production truck, I do want to direct you to do one thing. If we can get a shot of Mrs. Gherkin here. We had her before. But we didn't. We just want to recognize her. We've seen the Tipton dance team here perform at halftime, and I believe she's one of the assistant coaches, as now I see her walking out the gym. That's too bad. That's Alex Gherkin and the young baby Bowen, who is the child and wife of Mike Gherkin, who's our very talented director there back in the truck. Just wanted to give him some love. We were talking about turnovers, the most ugliest thing to talk about in basketball while they put her on camera. So I'm sorry that that's what was being talked about when we put Alex on the board. But again, Wilton averaging 56 allowed per game. Tipton already at 28, so they're right on that mark. They only score 45 per game, and they're already at 32. Tipton defensively, you wouldn't have thought would be allowing this kind of offense performance. And it's not like Wilton has been dominant. It's been the turnovers that have caused so many points on the board, right? Absolutely right. And Wilton has played a good game down low. We saw when Bierman got into foul trouble, you know, they went down to Stelk a couple of times, got an easy basket. They went to also Jared Townsend down there, got a couple easy baskets down low, and Bierman wasn't able to do a whole lot. But, Tipton just is not shooting the ball well. They're just 9 out of 30 for the game right now, and just have just been off on their shots. And I think that's contributed a little bit to them getting a little bit panicky on the offensive end, dribbling into some places where maybe they shouldn't dribble into and losing the ball. And Wilton, credit to them. They've got 10 turnovers of their own, but they've been shooting the ball fairly well on the offensive end. 6 out of 9 in that first quarter. A little bit off in the second quarter, but still 12 out of 25 for the game. So they're shooting the ball fairly well, and right now they're taking it to Tipton. So if you're Tipton head coach Matt Fouch, you're in the locker room right now, you realize, hey, we've shot 9 for 30. Hey, we've got probably close to double-digit turnovers. We're only down by 4. There's a lot of game left here where they can just improve their play just slightly. They can all of a sudden take that into a lead like we saw in the first couple minutes of that first quarter. No question. You saw a little bit of panic, I think, in that second quarter, end of the first quarter from Tipton. Just not being very cohesive. Saw them kind of jawing at each other in the huddle at a timeout, and I think the coach is going to say, hey, listen, guys, we're not the enemy. The other team is the enemy. We need to play together. We got a lot of time left. There's 16 minutes of basketball left. We're only down by 4. We haven't played well. We know that. Let's go out and play Tipton basketball. And for speaking in foul trouble for Frank Bierman, he had that earlier. We saw him sit a couple minutes in that second quarter. 2 fouls to start the second half is vastly different from 2 fouls starting the second quarter. He's got to be careful, but he's not really in foul trouble now that we've started the second half. Correct, no question, and he's got to come out and play as hard as he did in that first few minutes of that first quarter, getting on the offensive boards. I mean, he had 3 or 4 offensive rebounds, I think probably before Wilton had 1 rebound, and he's got to get that mindset again, not worry about the 2 fouls, come out and play hard, and that's going to open up shots for some of the outside shooters like we talked about with Stewart, some of these other kids that can shoot the ball from the outside. Let them collapse on Bierman on the inside. That's going to open up. Bierman's got to recognize when I get double teamed,
I've got to kick it out to one of my guys.
We saw that fantastic alley-oop lay-in from Andrew Stewart. We haven't seen quite the acrobatic baskets from him since, but he leads the Tigers with 10 points. Ashton Stelk with 10 for the Beavers, but they're being led by Jared Townsend, who just has one more. He sits at 11. Both those guys post players. If you're Tipton and you're Bierman, when you have two players so good like that for Wilton, that's hard to stop. Bierman is so good defensively, he can only cover one of them, and you don't want him to be aggressive, whereas Townsend and Stelk, they're not in foul trouble, so they can go hard to the hole aggressive.
Right, and they need to do that. They need to go right at Bierman. If I'm the Wilton coach, I'm saying when we get the ball inside, go into him. Let's see if we can't get him a third foul, and because that opens up the inside for them. So that's something that they really need to look at. The other thing is Andrew Stewart scored 33 points in that first game. He's got 10 here in the first half. It's been a real quiet 10. He needs to come out. He's their senior. He needs to come out and really lead this team and get everybody together and play really hard this second half.
Well, he averages 15.7. He's got 10 tonight. So even if he were to duplicate that in the second half, does 20 points from Andrew Stewart win this game? They're going to need help from that supporting cast. Like Bierman, he's only got 5. But you don't want to be aggressive at the same time. It'll be interesting to see how this coaching change, what they were able to draw up here in the second half.
No question.
All right, 2 minutes left to go on the clock at halftime. It's a 4-point game. Wilton, the leader rather. They're trying to sweep the doubleheader for boys and girls. We'll see if they're able to do that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. We're watching KCRG 9.2, brought to you by the Community First Credit Union.
And Waln Collision Center in Fairfax.
Zoomed action here in the second half as Wilton turns the ball over on their first possession. They have a 4-point lead over the hometown Tipton Tigers, 32-28. Not a great first possession there, but not great damage done as Tipton now coming the other way. Pelsner gets to Tishuk. Tishuk still looking for his first points. Down low to Bierman, and that'll be
3-second call. Yep, another turnover. Both teams turnovers in their first possessions. Tipton coming out with a little bit of pressure now, trying to get the game maybe a little bit more up-tempo and create some turnovers.
Brock Hartley with the ball on the far wing. Gives it over to Garrett Bonsack, the senior point guard. There's Jared Townsend going back and forth with Stelk. Townsend, long 3 attempt, no good off the front iron. And then Tipton, Bierman, he throws it right out of bounds, thinking that Andrew Stewart was looking, and he wasn't. Another turnover for Tipton, as it's not a great start to the second half.
Just still a little out of sorts, and I think part of that's attributable to the break, but where they just need to get their focus back.
Hartley with it now, driving in, finds himself in the middle of the lane, right on the elbow, dishes back out to Ronan Santiago. Santiago dribbling, he gets tripped up on the leg of, I believe, Stewart. Stewart will get the foul call. Unintentional foul, but
and just his
nonetheless
first,
a foul.
Just his first. He's out there trying to put pressure, so nothing hurt.
Finding Stelk down low. Stelk will body down low for Bierman. Staying aggressive, ball's on the floor. Bierman falls on it. Back-to-back turnovers to start the second half, as it's a 3 ball from Luke Becker. He's got 6, deficit down to just 1 for Tipton.
When you talked earlier how important it is to find somebody else to step up and score, and a great example of it right there with Becker stepping in. He's only a 29% shooter from the three-point line, 17 out of 58 on the year coming into the game. So that's a big bucket for Tipton.
And it was early in the possession. Again, still no shot clock, but if you're that wide open, why not?
Yeah, right. They're going to lay off of him.
Wilton throws the ball out of bounds across the entire floor, and Tipton will take over.
And this is really how we started the game, with Wilton just committing turnovers. That's 3 turnovers already for Wilton here, and we've only played a minute and a half of the third quarter.
Unless things changes, that might be the theme for tonight's game.
I think you might be right.
Tishuk bodying down low, finds Pelzer, open from the wing. Pelzer no good. What a rebound there, rising up Andrew Stewart. Stewart then going down low to Tishuk. Tishuk can't get it to go. But Bierman right there for the rebound and putback.
Just too big, too strong inside.
We've seen a few now, body sliding over the floor. Might be a slippery spot right there at mid-court. Bierman's going to get called for the foul. That'll be his third. That's Bierman's third foul. Again, that was a theme in the first half.
And
he had to take a seat early.
And that's pretty early here in the third quarter.
3 is not 5, but it's getting closer.
Yeah, I mean, clearly if he picks up another one, he'll be sitting for most of the rest of the game.
Bierman running the fast break. Bierman almost loses the handle. Stewart finds it, gets the mid-range, and Stewart was fouled as he shot it. Gets it to go, and one opportunity coming from the senior.
Fortuitous bounce for
That
Tipton.
could have gone a whole nother way.
Yeah, I thought Bonsack was going to step in front of Bierman and maybe pick up a charge and get that fourth foul on him, but if Bierman's coming at me full speed, I am not going to stand in his way. Smart move by Bonsack.
Stewart converts the and one. One I think Bierman maybe was expecting him to take the charge, because then when he got around him, then all of a sudden he loses the handle. Stewart's right there to gather it. He's open, so he took the shot. Here's a 3 try. Nothing but air from Bonsack. The putback attempt's no good from Townsend. Back the other way, Tipton. Tipton's now got a 4-point lead. Gonna be on the floor, foul call. Looks like it'll go against Bonsack. And Pelzer will hit the line. Pelzer with 6 points, make it 7. Wilton has yet to score.
10-0 run now for Tipton to start this third quarter.
8 points for Pelzer. Leads up to 6. As driving in, nice block there from Luke Becker on Brock Hartley. And now it's Stewart with it. Stewart driving in, kicks it out to Luke Becker. Luke Becker no good on the triple. Foul called down low as it looked like Ashton Stelk and Bierman were fighting.
I think they got Townsend.
Looks like Townsend will get the push call.
Boy, Tishuk and Bierman are really going after those offensive boards now. Bierman's got to be a little bit careful, but he's really going after it still.
They try for the inbound alley-oop to Bierman off the front iron, no good, but they still got the rebound. So it's Stewart on the top. Tishuk back to Stewart. Open in the corner, Pelzer driving in on the baseline. Pelzer off the glass and good. Second person from the Tiger team to hit double digits. He's got 10 to go along with Stewart's 13. And Wilton takes a timeout. It was 32-28 to start halftime. Now we're out of halftime. Start the third quarter, and all of a sudden it's a 14-0 run from Tipton.
And 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes.
And they've really shown what kind of offensive team they can be when they're hitting the boards, when they're moving the ball, when they're sharing the ball, and when they're playing that good pressure defense like they've been playing. This is a different Tipton team here in this third quarter than it was in pretty much the entire first half. And I think maybe the coaching staff got after them a little bit in the locker room at halftime because they've come out playing really hard, good basketball.
And we've seen some of the same characteristics as we saw early in the first quarter when Tipton was successful. But still, to start the third, even though they're on this 14-0 run, we did see 3 straight turnovers. So they're not, but they're still better. And I think that's obviously part of it. And now Wilton, who's turning the ball over contagiously.
Right, and part of it's they're shooting better. They're 4 out of 7 here in the third quarter so far from the field, and part of that is they're getting better shots. You look at a lot of times you look at somebody's shooting statistics and their percentages. If they're not shooting very well, a lot of times it's because they're not taking very good shots. Here in this third quarter, Tipton's taking a lot better shots than they did in the first half.
Bonsack finding Stelk down low. Stelk no good, but strongly gets his rebound. How about the block from Bierman? Stelk again, this time will get called from the travel. That's what Frank Bierman can do, staying aggressive even in foul trouble, but still coming away with the defensive block.
Yeah, he's such a presence down there, physically jumps so well. It's hard to get around him when he's playing good defense.
Here's Stewart from the wing. Up top to Pelzer. In the corner, Becker, back to Stewart. Becker's open, doesn't take it, instead goes down low to Bierman, and it'll be Stelk called on the foul.
Stelk just doing his best to try to keep Bierman from getting low on that block. I tell you what, Tipton's moving the ball so much better this half. They got that little high-low going on and just really passing the ball well.
Kistrick tries finding Bierman, but again it's stolen. But then a block the other way from Luke Becker. Here comes Pelzer. Pelzer, too wild off the glass. It'll be a foul call on the rebound from Stewart. Pelzer, you have to love the energy that he brings, but some of these drives have been just a little too much energy, may be the word.
And I think Bonsack got in his way a little bit that time, did a great job of recovering and maybe just got a hand on the ball or just disrupted that flow a little bit.
Press given on from the Tiger defense, but Townsend brings it over mid-court. Finds Bonsack. Bonsack's been scoreless since he had an early 5 in the first quarter. There's Stelk down low. And who will they call the foul on? It looks like, I believe, Becker and not Bierman. Yeah, it will be Luke Becker. And Ashton Stelk will head to the line.
I'll tell you what, I've been impressed with Stelk. I think he's done a nice job on the boards, offensive boards, and he's really gotten after it. I'm impressed with him.
That one off the front iron. Stelk, the first free throw attempts here in the second half for Wilton, still looking for their first point of the half. What was a 4-point lead has turned into an 8-point deficit. Stelk looking for point number 11, gets it to go, and we'll see if they're able to start a run now that they got that one out of the way.
Stopped a 12-point run for Tipton, so see if they can put a couple together.
Here's Becker driving in. Becker looking to kick out to somewhere, finds Tishon. There's Pelzer, has it stolen away from Isaac Hunter. Isaac Hunter looking to give the ball away, gives it to Townsend. Townsend with a floater, gets it to go, and one. And now they build off that first point, and all of a sudden, Jared Townsend with an and one opportunity.
Yeah, nice job on the defensive end by Wilton that time, creating the turnover when Pelzer got a little bit caught up in a double team and tried to dribble through it, and nice job by Wilton translating that into a basket at the other end.
Jared Townsend with 13 points on the game. He leads the Wilton Beaver team now with 14. They've cut that deficit now down to 4. How will Tipton respond? Stewart with the point. Over to Becker. Back to Stewart. Stewart the pump fake, now driving in on the left. In traffic off the window. Impressive drive there from Andrew Stewart.
And that just shows his talent with the ball, getting to the basket. Very aggressive and just a nice move.
Stelk, pull-up mid-range jumper off the iron, no good. Rebound, Bierman. Bierman up ahead to Becker. Becker circles back around. Ball movement down low. Finds its way back to Stewart with the floater. Hometown rim roll goes.
Another nice move into the middle of that zone. Nobody steps in to stop him.
A defensive foul here on Jacob Tishon. Called for the block.
And I like what Stewart's done the last couple of possessions for Tipton on the offensive end. He's penetrating that zone with a dribble drive. Nobody's coming over to stop him, and he's got some wide open, fairly close-in looks, and he's made the most of it. That's gonna have some effects on that zone. If they start collapsing on him now, he's got to start looking to get the ball to the outside.
So Tipton's gone on quite an impressive run here in the third quarter. What they haven't done impressively is staying out of foul trouble. We still have 2.5 minutes left the third quarter, and Wilton is already at the bonus where we pick up Jared Townsend hitting the first of a 1-and-1, and now the second chance for point number 16 off the front iron, but Townsend fighting for the offensive rebound. No good on the floor. This should go for a jump ball. And the possession arrow is saying it's Tipton basketball. Still a success though if you're Wilton. Now you change that possession arrow off a missed free throw. Back up the floor, Stewart. Stewart driving in, circles back around out to Tishik, back to Stewart. Stewart driving in baseline, looked like he hit the leg of Townsend, and Townsend's going to get called for the block. I believe that will be Jared Townsend's fourth foul. So all of a sudden, Townsend now takes a seat in foul trouble. Still 2 minutes left here in the third quarter. Not the guy you want sitting. Yeah, he leads the team with 15.
Yep, he's a lot of their offensive options.
Stewart, the long two, rims off. Santiago ball handling the other way. Now to Brock Hartley. Hartley pulls up, tries to find Stelg with a blazing pass right through Stelg's hands, out of bounds, another turnover.
Fifth turnover now for Wilton here in the third quarter. And we talked about this before, they're averaging 20 a game, and that's just and that's one of the reasons why they've struggled this year, is that many turnovers is not going to translate into too many wins, but they're right on pace for that again this game. 15 here now in the just the end of the third quarter.
So we've seen now Andrew Stewart take a seat on the bench with just 2 minutes left in the third. They're up by 7. So it looks like head coach Matt Fouch confident his team can hang in there with a lead going into the fourth. Nice drive from Peyton Elijah. Can't get the bucket to foul, but he'll shoot two.
And that time Blake Wilkins was playing the high post, did a nice job of getting the ball and looking opposite, and found Elijah cutting to the basket and made a nice pass.
Elijah with his first point. And we commented on Tipton with 7 team fouls, allowing Wilton to be on the bonus. And after that foul, Wilton is now with 6 fouls, almost allowing Tipton to be in the bonus as well. We might see a lot of free throws from the charity stripe here in the next quarter.
I was going to say the flow of this third quarter is a little bit choppy. Been a lot of fouls, a lot of turnovers.
Bonsack back in the game. Finds Hartley. Hartley to Jackson Hull. Hull's attempted pass to Stelk. Intercepted. Tipped in the other way. Jacob Tishik, for only having 2 points, seems to be a critical part of the ball movement flow of the Tipton offense.
You know, and the interesting thing is, you know, he's one of their big guys, but when Stewart and Pelzer are sitting on the bench, he's the one playing point guard. Yeah. And he does a nice job of it. He really distributes the ball well. That's one of the reasons they put him at the high post a lot of times, is because he's such a good passer.
Swing it all the way around the perimeter to find Tishik. Elijah with it now. Down low to Bierman. Bierman in traffic, gets it stolen. Bonsack the other way. Bonsack, Stelk with 4 defenders around him, travels. He could not keep that right foot down as he lost his dribble and then started dancing a little bit. But when you have 4 defenders around you, that's what will happen. Yes. Bierman now takes a seat.
Nice job by Coach Rizak here, getting Bierman on the bench for the last minute of this third quarter. Give him a little rest, keep him out of foul trouble as well. I'm sorry, not Rizak, Coach Fouch. Still back in the girls' game.
It was a great game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Tishik with it on the wing. Still has his dribble. Now to Blake Wilkins. That ball out of bounds. It'll stay with Tipton. Again, the top 3 scorers, Bierman, Stewart, and Pelzer, all out of the game to the end of this third quarter. Coach Fouch trusting the bench depth to keep what is now an 8-point lead.
And they'll sit on this for the last shot, I think. I was wrong again.
3 try air balls from Elijah. I think maybe the look on Coach Fouch's face is I thought we were gonna go for the last shot there, but But again, it's the same argument. If you're that wide open, might as well, I guess. Santiago driving, kicks out to Hartley. Hartley now finds an open Chase Miller. 3 attempt, no good. Rebound Tipton. Just 1 second left. The shot will not count if it goes from Tishik. They were down by 4 entering the third, now entering the fourth. They're up by 8. What a second half start for the Tipton Tigers. We'll see if the hometown team's able to keep their momentum going into the fourth. Don't go away. You're watching live high school hoops on Kate. Perfect timing as we resume action here in the fourth quarter. Wilton saw that 4-point lead at half diminish, and now they're down by 8. What do you have to do here?
Well, you have to take care of the basketball. They had 5 points in that third quarter and 7 turnovers. That's not going to get it done. So they got to take care of the basketball, get some shots on the offensive end.
There's another turnover. Stewart's back on the floor, back the other way. Nicely off the glass, Andrew Stewart. He's up to 19. As both of these teams looking to make just a push into the playoffs, as that was another turnover from Wilton. Townsend gets caught walking.
You know, Wilton just 1 out of 8 from the field in that third quarter, and when you add that to the 7 turnovers, and that's the huge reason that Tipton got back in the lead.
Stewart to Pelzer, Tishik the floater down low, just can't seem to get that touch from mid-range. Only has 2 points, but just watching this game, you know how critical he is on the offensive defensive side of the ball. The stats will not tell the true story for Jacob Pishik. Is stealth down low. Gets the lay-in to go. At this point, Wilton can't be trading any baskets, though, down by 8. Stewart from long range. Stewart, nothing but net. Stewart's now up to 22.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They've got to lock them down on defense a little better. They can't trade baskets, and they certainly can't trade or have turnovers when they've got the ball in the offensive end.
Brock Hartley, pull-up jumper, gets it to go. But again, it all matters on this side of the ball for Wilton. Stewart, unbelievable. Stewart, the pull-up 3. Unstoppable so far to start the fourth quarter. He's got a quick 8. Townsend tries to answer, no good, but stout the offensive board. His putback can't go, but he's fouled on his second chance. He'll go to the line.
Hey, when you got a shooter like Stewart, and he's feeling it, you know, he made a real nice jab step there, got his defender off balance, took a step back, and nailed the 3. So you've got to make sure that he gets the ball out of his hands. If you're Wilton now, you can't let him go off. Even more than he already has here.
I was going to say, has he not gone off already? 25 for Stewart. Stout, the one-on-one wasn't a shooting foul, but they are in the bonus, so he misses the first. Doesn't get the opportunity for a second. Stewart gets it to go. I think he's found his motion.
I think you're right. I think you're right. He loves playing against zone defenses.
The lead was 8 after 3. It's 15 now for the Tipton Tigers. Pelzer pushing the other way. I think I know who's going to take a shot. Stewart from downtown, no good.
And that was right on, too. That's a great vantage point from where we were. He was right on, just a little bit hard.
28 points from the senior, Andrew Stewart. 35.9% shooter from behind the arc. I would imagine he's right around there today, if not a little higher. Wilton now with just 5.5 minutes left, doing exactly what they can't do, turning the ball over. Rising up is Stewart for point number 29 and 30, the left-handed lay-in, and this is quickly getting out of hand, which was once a very competitive game, now turning into a blowout. Stelk responding the other way. Stelk has 15. But can't find any answers for the Tipton Tiger offense. Pelzer dishes to Becker. Becker driving in, gets the ball stolen. Pelzer again. Stewart wide open on the wing would have taken a shot if he didn't lose his handle. Bierman down low, going over 2 bodies over Stelk, no good. Defensive rebound for Wilton. Here comes Bonsack. Bonsack behind the back, crossover to Townsend. Townsend driving in, great defense there from Pishuk. Stelk to Townsend in the corner. Townsend not afraid to shoot a 3. He elects to go off the front iron. Offensive rebound, no good. Pelzer back the other way. It's Pelzer. A lot of contact, and it will be a blocking call. Called on Garrett Bonsack. Pelzer, like we've seen many times already, going in full steam ahead. And this time it's Bonsack getting called, and he's speaking to the official right now about why that may have been a block and not a charge.
Well, I think part of the problem was he's right underneath the basket. Yeah. And if he's not underneath the basket, he might get that call. But you got to protect the offensive player in that situation. And if he's going to be underneath the basket, you got to call that on the defender.
Pelzer hits his second of 2. He's got 11 as now we hit a timeout. What a change in the pace of this game. We've got Tipton up by 16. We'll see if Wilton's able to come back after this short break. Don't go away. You're watching KCRG 9.2. It's hard to summarize what exactly has gone wrong this half for the Wilton Beavers. Up by 4 at half in the first half, and then the second half, they've completely, I don't even know the word.
Yeah.
It's beyond falling apart here.
Yeah, I think a lot of the credit goes to Tipton. They've really locked them down defensively. They've put a little bit of press on. They've been trapping. They've really caused a lot of turnovers for Wilton, and then they've turned it into baskets at the other end. Wilton has not shot well when they have got the ball in their half-court offense, and Tipton has just taken advantage of that. Some fast break points, and just everything's going bad.
Stelkar to the hole, no good. Townsend brings it outside with the offensive rebound to Bonsack. Bonsack, again, only averaging 2.5 of the dishes down low to Townsend. Great block by Bierman, now coming back the other way. Frank Bierman. What a defensive power for the Tipton Tigers. Again, going back, now Stewart takes the 3, and it's almost automatic at this point. Stewart, 33 points.
And he matches the game high that he had against Wilton last time they played. He's just as automatic now from the outside.
Bierman doing a good job defensively, not fouling, but right there it's Brock Hartley with the basket. At this point, they're going to need a handful of 3-pointers and more stops on defense if they're going to get this game back to a competitive score. Pelzer to Stewart. Can't leave Stewart that open. A rare miss from Stewart in this second half. Townsend with it. Bonsack from downtown, no good. Stewart the rebound. 3-on-0, Pelzer wide open. Good recovery from Brock Hartley on defense. Pelzer now driving in, and will get called for a travel. Now I got to give him credit because he did just take that shot there, but Bonsack, one of the offensive powers, very early in the game, 5 early points, hasn't really elected to shoot much here since then.
Yeah, he really hasn't.
He's had the looks, it seems.
Yep, and I think he's kind of deferring to some of his other teammates right now, especially here in the third quarter, now in the fourth quarter, just not being very aggressive looking for his offensive shot.
Just 2.5 minutes remaining, almost another turnover there from the Wilton Beavers, as now it looks like Tipton is electing to take out all of their starters and call this a night. Pelzer the hard drive, Pelzer the lay-in, he's got 13. And head coach Matt Fouch will take a timeout and take all of his starters off the floor except for Frank Bierman. But nope, now Bierman's coming off as well. What a second half for this Tipton Tiger team.
Well, they've played 6.5 minutes or 5.5 minutes here in the fourth quarter, and they've got 19 points. So they've really, on the offensive end, they've really exploded, and a lot of it is Mr. Stewart out there hitting that three-pointer and then going to the basket, and boy, he's just been something else here in the fourth quarter.
So it does look like that Bierman actually is going to stay out there and continue to participate in this game, as the rest of the starters from the Tiger team have taken a bench for what we can only assume is the rest of the night. It's a 19-point lead for the Tigers, 64-45, 2 minutes, 15 seconds remaining, as we are moving our way ahead to a split in tonight's doubleheader. Is Colby Kleppe the other way for Tipton. Bierman going up strong, but a nice block defensively from Brock Hartley, getting a nice ovation from the Wilton faithful who have traveled down to Tipton today.
Where on the other end, Blake Wilkins made a really nice defensive play. Help side defense after the ball went into Stelk with a lob pass. Did a nice job of helping his teammates out.
Here's an open look. Kleppe gets fouled after the shot. It doesn't go, but he'll go to the line for 3 shots.
And that's going to be
Jared Townsend's fifth. And he already knows what that means as he takes a lonely walk back to the bench, and his night is done. Townsend coming in, averaging 17.1 points per game. He had 15 tonight, so he's right there.
Yeah, they just didn't have an answer for this Tipton defense here in the second half.
Kleppe gets his first of 3 free throws connected. The second off the back iron. As we look ahead to the future schedules, let's start with Tipton. Tipton's going to come away with a win in this one, advance to 8-7 on the season. They're at West Liberty, then they're home against Anamosa and Comanche before beginning their playoff push. But an impressive second half flip to this team after taking however many days and weeks off due to the weather.
Oh.
Maybe that rust was apparent in the first half, and they've switched it around once they got back onto the floor with each other. Stelk down low. Stelk gets 2. He gets the and 1 to fall. Stelk with a chance to get to 18 points for Wilton. They look ahead.
Yeah. They've held Wilton to just 15 points here in the second half after allowing 17 points in that first quarter. They've done just a great job on the defensive end.
Ashton Stelk has 11.8 points per game average on the year, and he's had quite a game. 18 points for him now, 65-48. Wilton will play in the Region 7 Class 2A playoff. That ball tipped out of bounds. Possession will go to the Beavers. And for Tipton, they'll also play in the Class 2A playoffs in District 6. We already know their first round matchup. They'll play Durant, but then the other teams in that district, Monticello, Bellevue, Cascade, Northeast. Cascade, defending champs. They are not what they were last year. They lost a lot of star power, but anytime you got to go up against any defending champ, it can be intimidating.
Absolutely right.
There's a long ball connected from Isaac Hunter, cutting the lead to 14. Driving in, nice lay-in, can't go, but getting his own rebound is Peyton Elijah. Good defense there, but a foul called on Jackson Hull. That will send Blake Wilkins to the line. Tipton, 62.8 points per game. They only had 28 in the first half, and they have already gone past that milestone now with 65. Wilkins knocking home the second free throw. 66-51 as we're under 60 seconds remaining here in our second game of the doubleheader. Our first game ended with the Wilton Beavers girls team taking down the Tipton Tigers. But now the boys team sending the home crowd home a little happier, getting a win here to finish the split. Mason Baker, the inbounder for Wilton. Here's a long ball attempt from A.J. Boston. Couldn't quite see if that ball got tipped, but that was well short. Fortunately, both these teams will learn from today. The mistakes seem very apparent and fixable. Turnovers is always a fixable problem.
Absolutely right, and that's something that I'm guessing that both teams are going to have to really focus on when they go back to practice.
Tipton still staying aggressive, but it seems like the officials are content with not blowing the whistle quite as often as we've seen. In the third quarter, I think both teams were in the bonus. Now each is at 9. I would bet we do not see Tipton get into the double bonus, though they are just one foul away. Wild attempt there, no good. Offensive rebound. There's Kleppe again. Kleppe, a nice end to the fourth quarter here. 17-point lead. 6 seconds remaining in this game. Wilton trying to get up a last-second shot, and they won't do it. 68-51 the final. What a turnaround and what a tale of two halves, if there ever was one, for the Tipton Tigers tonight. Down by 4 at half, they win by 17, advancing the record to 8-7 on the year. We'll recap the action from the girls' game and from this game, as well as look at some of the second half highlights when we come back. Don't go away. You're watching KCRG 9.2. Welcome back following 2 fantastic games as we close our coverage here, which is always a great time to remind you of the coverage we have coming up next Thursday night. More high school hoops. The Cedar Rapids Wash girls will be taking on Xavier at 7:30. John Breckbach, you going to be at that one?
I think we're doing that game.
I think
yeah.
you are. You're normally a Xavier broadcaster.
Correct.
What do you expect to see out of that one?
Well, I think that's 2 good teams that are playing really well. I've been impressed with Xavier this year. Their freshmen, they've got 3 or 4 freshmen that get a lot of playing time, and those kids are really coming around. They're a fairly young team. I think they're only going to lose 1 girl next year, but boy, they're getting better and better as the year goes on. Washington has really impressed me with their athleticism, and I think that's going to be a good game. I think both teams are really playing well now.
Wash girls having a great start to the year. I guess we're much past that now. They've had a great year in general. So have the Wash boys. And if you don't catch our coverage on Thursday night, well, tune in the night after that. Friday night, the same 2 teams on the boys' side. Washington, Xavier, 7:30. Watch it right here on KCRG 9.2. Xavier's obviously lost a lot from last year, but they're still right up there as well.
Yeah, still good athletes, well coached. Learsman does a great job with them, and Washington has really been coming around as well. So I think another good game.
So our 2 games today, kind of hard to describe. We had a lot of different momentum shifts throughout either game. The girls, it was Wilton by 4 at half. They ended up winning by 12 after a big half. The star power, Emily Lang. My goodness, she's a player.
Really, really, really good. And you could really tell, I think, both Tipton boys and girls teams just really rusty. Coming out having turnovers that you don't usually see them have, missing shots that they don't usually miss. And, if you haven't been playing competitive basketball for 10 days, it's going to take a toll on you. I mean, it really will when you come out and all of a sudden you're playing and there's the referees are there and the crowd's there. I think it's just tough for them. But I think both teams, Tipton, especially the Tipton boys, really turned it on in that fourth quarter. They outscored Wilton 40-19 in that second half, and boy, they really showed how good they are offensively in that second half.
So we touched on Emily Lang, the star power. She had 32, and then we touched on Tipton and their dominant performance, especially in the second half, led by Andrew Stewart. He had 33. I knew we were going to see some star power. Those are 2 star performances right there.
Well, he scored 33 in that first game, and I thought, well, he won't do it again. I mean, he's going to go out and he'll get his 15 points or 16 points. But boy, 33, just incredible.
If we take a look at some of these highlights from the second half, we talk so much about Stewart. Stewart didn't really have a hot start to this game, and then that third quarter, he couldn't miss from downtown.
Knocking the rust off. That's what they got to do.
We take a look at some of the action down low. Frank Bierman really had a nice development to that game as he was in foul trouble earlier, as then we see Stewart just knocking down shot after shot, I would imagine. Here's Trent Pelzer, the drive. Again, it was a by-committee action that outside of just Stewart, there were still plenty of scorers. There's Stewart, the nice acrobatic drive. Pelzer had 13. Bierman had 7. Becker had 6. But Stewart right there, you can't stop that.
No, he's good with both hands. He can drive to his left, drive to his right. He's got a great outside shot. When he gets to the basket, he can go up with his left. And you're right, it's really hard to stop.
Again, another drive from Stewart. We'll be looking to see more of that kind of action as they continue the playoff push and the playoffs right around the corner. These teams finally got on the action. They had a lot of time off from the weather. They got back into it, and we're excited to see how
great
this
time
progresses.
of year now, heading towards the tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun to see it.
Absolutely. For John Breitbach, I'm Mike O'Brien. For everyone else in the truck, we thank you for watching us right here on KCRG 9.2.